Hey everyone, Tracy here. First of all, let me apologize for not having a video last week, so I'm just going to give you a little story about that. My mom had been in the hospital for a few weeks actually, and she had gotten really bad, and then my mom ended up passing, going to heaven to be with Jesus on Tuesday of last week. So I was there with her and spent the last few days with her before she passed, so that was the reason why I didn't have a video last week. So I felt like it was appropriate this week for me to actually give another little story about my mom. So this one day she called me frantically, and she says, I can't find my bird. So my mom had a couple of little lovebirds, and she kept them back in her laundry room, and she loved them little birds. I don't know the reason why, because they are so nasty. Them birds are just made a mess everywhere, but she loved them. And so she called me, and she had let them out of their cage so that she could clean the cage. And when she did that, she just let them fly around the room, just loose. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But anyway, so she cleaned the cage out, and she went to put them back, and she couldn't find one of her little lovebirds. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I said, I'll be there in a few minutes. I live about 10 minutes away from my mom. So I went over to her house, and when I got to her house, she was walking. Now her kitchen and her living room is open on two sides, so it's like a little circle, and she was pushing the walker around the kitchen there in the living room, and she was just walking around in a circle, frantic, trying to find these birds. Now, the anatomy of my mother is she has a big old booty. And so as she made the turn around one of those doorways there to go back in the kitchen, I happened to see the bird, and the bird was sitting on her booty. She had been walking around the whole house looking for this bird, and the whole time the bird was sitting on her butt. And I said, Mother, I said, there's your bird. And she goes, where's the bird? And I'm like, it's sitting on your booty. So to say the least, we get the bird back in the bird cage, and everything was okay. Now, how am I going to relate this to pointing to him? It talks about in the Bible that God even knows when the sparrow falls, and he cares so much for us that he's constantly watching us, and he even has the hairs on our head numbered. And so today, when I was trying to think about my mom, and I was thinking about a song that actually a good friend of mine in Florida, Jerry Hansen, actually sings, and I've sung this song before, so I'm going to sing this song for you because it talks about even the sparrows, all right? Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the little sparrow, and I know he watches me. I'm so glad that God watches over all of us, even when our hearts are heavy, losing somebody that we love. He's watching over us. And I know my mom's in heaven with Jesus, and that she's praising him at his feet. But it talks about in the Bible even a great cloud of witnesses. And I don't know whether that means that the people in heaven can see down on us, but I'm going to think that my mom's looking down from heaven on us and watching us, just right there along with Jesus, that he's watching us every day, and that God longs for us to actually live our lives for him, just like my mom did. She prayed for a lot of people. She prayed for her kids a lot and her grandchildren. And many of you who are watching, I know she prayed for you. So one of the things that I do know is that my mom, as she lived her life to point to him. Have a good day, and I'll see you next week.